Hi everyone, my name is Sonia Vangeli and I'm a design project manager at Waterfront Toronto. I will take you through an overview of the Queens Quay East streetscape and public realm design for the surface portion of the Waterfront East LRT project. Area 2A is outlined in purple on the map, spanning between Bay Street on the west to Silo Street, just east of Parliament on the east. There is an area of overlap on the west end between Bay and Yonge Street, which is being coordinated with the underground work of Area 1. On the east end, Area 2B, which is shown in blue, includes the extension of Queens Quay to Cherry Street and the LRT extension north to Distillery Loop. Design for Area 2B will begin shortly and coordinate with the other two parts of the project toward a fully integrated 30% design package by the fall of this year. Design for Queens Quay East from Bay to Parliament was previously taken to 60% design in 2012. As shown on the cross-section on the left, the design was an extension of the implemented revitalization of Queens Quay West. As part of this project, the design team has an opportunity to revisit the 2012 design to further refine and optimize how it functions in terms of ecology, mobility, and placemaking. The overall arrangement remains the same, with the LRT right-of-way along the south side of the street, then the Martin Goodman Trail framed by a double alley of trees, and a generous pedestrian promenade on the south. The most obvious enhancement in the new design is the introduction of ground-level planting between the road and sidewalks to enhance the public realm, improve tree health, and better delineate different uses on the street. One of the issues we're studying as part of this work is the higher lake level that we've seen in recent years and its impact on the waterfront. Because we are so close to Lake Ontario, groundwater levels are affected by the fluctuations of the lake, so that needs to be considered when designing plantings and green infrastructure. We will be monitoring groundwater levels over the course of this year, studying how to best ensure the survival and health of the trees, and evaluating opportunities for integrated stormwater management and low-impact development in the context of high groundwater levels. A key strategy for addressing this is refining the species selection and increasing the diversity of trees that we will be planting within the street to be well suited to the conditions and challenges of the site. We are taking a bit of a different approach than we did in Queens Quay West, where we had the same tree species on the south side and a mix of trees on the north. On Queens Quay East, the tree species will be more diverse throughout, with groupings of broadleaf type trees along building blocks and finely textured leaf trees along parks and head of slips. The broader range of tree species will create a more resilient urban forest along Queens Quay, and the two different typologies of trees will create visual interest along the street with different seasonal color and textures. The proposed linear open planters along both sides of the street would be planted with a mix of perennials and bulbs to add seasonal color and texture to the public realm and provide more favorable conditions for tree planting, absorbing stormwater from the sidewalk and trail as passive irrigation. Another refinement that may be a bit harder to see in the larger scale drawing is the widening of the Martin Goodman Trail. Compared to the 2012 design and Queens Quay West, we're going from 3.4 meters to 4.2 meters. The widening will provide more space for different users, given the popularity and heavy use of the trail year-round, and particularly in the summer. The 2012 design used textured paving to mark the edges of the asphalt trail, which was flush with the granite promenade. This updated design introduces a slight grade change with a low curb to make it more accessible and easier to detect for people using a cane, and better delineate between different uses to improve interactions between cyclists and pedestrians along the trail. This street design update also provides the opportunity to refine the alignment of the extension of Queens Quay Boulevard as it meets Parliament and continues east to Cherry Street. The pink dashed lines show the former straight right-of-way alignment, and the blue lines show the proposed curved alignment, so you can see how the refinement helps improve the smoothness of the curve for transit users and also has a positive impact on the geometry of some of the development blocks. We are also making adjustments and improvements to the design of the intersections. In 2012, the design promoted and applied the idea of the mixing zone, paved in granite mosaic at the intersection corners where the paths of travel of pedestrians crossing north-south intersect with cyclists moving east-west. As we have learned from observing how the already built parts of Queens Quay operate, these areas can sometimes lead to confusion between users. So we are proposing changes to the configuration of the corners to better delineate the space for cyclists and pedestrians. What you see on the left here is a photograph of one of those mixing zones on Queens Quay West. And you can see how both the pedestrian crossing and the Martin Goodman Trail stop at the granite paved corner. On the right-hand side, you see a model of the proposed improvements to the intersection design to extend the paved trail to the curb and extend the pedestrian crossings over the trail. This should make it clearer to all users how the trail moves through the intersection and makes it a little more predictable to what people are used to biking in Toronto. This design solution will be tested in a pilot project on Queens Quay West before being implemented as a typical condition in the east. Another important aspect of the intersection design is enhancing the arrival experience to the waterfront from the major downtown streets, especially where they meet Queens Quay. On Queens Quay East, the key streets that we're looking at are Bay, Yonge, Jarvis, Sherbourne, and Parliament. Each of them has its own identity, its own character, its own challenges and opportunities, and adjacent parks and attractions. We are studying how to create something special in each of these places, particularly where they lead to slips and terminate in views over the water. Using Jarvis Slip as an example, these are two preliminary options that we are exploring. The diagram on the left extends the Martin Goodman Trail right through the head of slip, using trees and planting to delineate and separate the different uses, similar to the typical intersection design shown earlier. The option on the right is quite different in that it considers these spaces as special plazas with pedestrian priority, so the Mgmt stops at the edges and the plaza is shared space. This is to indicate to cyclists to slow down as they enter the plaza and give priority to pedestrians. The planting arrangement and species selection could also diverge from the typical linear design to highlight this as a special place of arrival, different from the rest of the street, which is intended for moving through. To highlight these shared space plazas, the team is also working on some ideas for dynamic digital signage at both ends of the head of slip spaces to indicate to users that they are entering a shared space where diverse users are moving in different directions. Another opportunity to improve accessibility within the waterfront is to integrate digital wayfinding beacons to help those who are blind or partially sighted to better navigate Queens Quay and make their way to transit. This same CNIB device is currently being piloted by the TTC at the Yonge and St. Clair subway station, and we are looking to incorporate it into this design as well. We are also exploring the opportunity to integrate heated pavement to melt snow and to help improve access to transit and to building entrances along the street during the winter months. This could help reduce salt use, improving conditions for planting, and alleviating maintenance. The team is studying a series of case studies from other jurisdictions and evaluating costs, energy use, and maintenance requirements, and different available technologies to inform the design. Along the north sidewalk, we are also introducing the idea of flexible laybys, similar to what you might have seen on Market Street near the St. Lawrence Market. Movable bollards allow the layby space to be sometimes used for parking and sometimes closed off to expand the sidewalk for outdoor seating and patios. This allows the design of the public realm to be flexible and change seasonally to accommodate special events and the higher levels of activity and pedestrians that the summer brings to the waterfront. So the next steps for the streetscape design are to refine the intersections and arrival plazas, to monitor groundwater, to inform further development of the planting design and LID strategies, and to continue to coordinate with adjacent projects, parks, and developments. We will be working toward completing 30% schematic design and costing for Area 2A by this summer, and coordinate with Area 1 and Area 2B by the fall of 2021. This concludes the design presentation for Area 2A. Please be sure to attend our virtual community consultation meeting on February 17th from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and to provide your feedback through our online questionnaire, which opens on February 17th. Thank you.